Mwah, 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 mwah. Welcome to the Magical Mystery School, and thank you so much for joining us for the new moon in Gemini, May 26th at 8:02 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 6 degrees Gemini, 6 minutes. So we're going to go over that today, as well as Saturn going into Aries. That's our biggie that's been going on, and that's actually happening on May 24th, tomorrow, because I'm hoping to get this published on the 23rd at 8:36 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And we're also going to be going over Mercury. That's going to make 6 aspects over the next week or so. So we'll be it's following the same route that the sun did, but we'll be looking at that in a lot more detail. Okay, but first off, let's do our review. Remember, we had the sun and Uranus conjuncting in that would be about 27, 28 degrees Taurus, and that was on May 17th. And on May 18th, we had Mercury squaring Mars. Mars is over here in Leo, and Mercury was still in Taurus too at that time, so about 10 degrees, I think. So that's the 17th and 18th. And what I noticed, remember that fixed, right? That's a square. Fire, air, earth. About the 16th, we had these terrible tornadoes here in the U.S. 28 people are dead so far. So, so that's kind of what was, I wonder if that was part of that. Wind, I could definitely see with Uranus for sure. And then this Mercury squaring, Mars here. Well, it sounds like those peace negotiations with Ukraine and Russia have just kind of blown up, which doesn't surprise me, to be quite honest, with what's going on. But the other super sad news, because remember, Mercury's communication, and remember, Pluto's up here at like 4 degrees Aquarius. So Mercury squared Pluto back on, I can't remember right off the top of my head. I think it was the 12th or so. But anyway, so it's bringing this energy up here to the 18th. Yeah, it was the 12th. Mercury squared Pluto on the 12th, and then is squaring Mars here on the 18th. So Mercury's bringing that Pluto energy with us. And the saddest thing, we got the news, our President Biden has prostate cancer, and it has spread to his bones, and it is considered aggressive, which was very sad. I wonder if maybe they got the realization of the news on the 12th with this square Mercury to Pluto, and now they were able to, it takes a while to digest it and figure out, especially a figure like that everybody's going to be asking, what's his treatment and all that stuff. So they waited a few days, I wonder, to finally get that news out. So very sad, though. Other things, let's see, Venus and Mars were in trine on May 26th, as well as a sun sextiling Neptune. And one of my friends had a birthday party, and I went out and had a very nice time. So anyway, I hope you guys had a good time too. That was a fun day for sure. Okay, so we're going to be following this Mercury here, because the first thing Mercury does on the 24th is Mercury's going to conjunct Uranus. Okay, and again at about that 28 degrees Taurus. And then I'll put the sun right over here. And that should really bring out some shocking news, I would think. Mercury and Uranus, because remember, these are two octaves. Mercury is the lower octave of Uranus. So they're basically the same kind of energy. Is that Mercury is more for the personal influence, and Uranus is more society, it's generational, that type of thing, but similar energies for sure. So maybe even just some brilliant insights will come in, because this is communication squared, right? And it's the truth. So hopefully we'll be given some truth on that day. I always, it's such a this whole disinformation stuff is really driving me crazy anyway. Okay. Then on the same day, on May 24th, the sun is going to trine, and I'm going to put him right here, Pluto. Okay, so Gemini's mutable air, Aquarius is fixed air. So air, that's always a congenial flow of energy here. But what this is going to give us, Pluto is, working hard, almost obsessively working hard. But because it's a trine, it's going to be a little bit more controlled. Instead of being ruthless, it'll be assertive, that kind of thing. And with the trine between these two, we can make some compromises and stuff like that. I think last week, I mentioned this 24th is going to be a Saturday, and I'm going to clean out my garage. And I got to thinking about that. What was wrong with my computer a couple of weeks ago? Too much clutter. What's wrong with my garage? Too much clutter. What's wrong with I could go on, too much clutter. Anyway, so that's one of my goals. Now, and also on May 24th is that big day when Saturn goes into Aries. Woohoo! All right, and that's the beginning of something really amazing here coming on in the next year or two. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. I'm going to finish up with these faster moving planets so that we can keep moving here. Oh, and the other thing I meant to mention here with this Mercury-Uranus conjunction, maybe there's something when the Sun conjuncted Uranus that was, back on May 17th. Maybe there's something that's just getting, strong enough or more in our consciousness that we can talk about it by the 24th. Okay. All righty then. Okay, then we'll move on to the 25th, and May 25th, and that's when Mercury moves into Gemini fully. So it'll kind of leaving Uranus behind here. And just remember, Taurus is, when we communicate in Taurus, we talk a little more steady, a little quieter. Beautiful voices, though. Taurus is known for its beautiful singing voices. But with Mercury going into Gemini, things are going to start to speed up because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, so it feels very comfortable here. So we're going to get a lot more, the mind is just going to be working a lot faster. So people may be speaking a little bit more in sentence fragments. They might even be a little silly. Remember, another name for Mercury is Quicksilver. So that's that speed in their brain. And you, as well as anybody else you're talking to, you probably have all the dots connected in your brain, but just be sure you slow down enough that you can communicate it, because that would be one of the difficulties here. Very logical, scientific, good vocabulary, but just a little bit on the fast side. Now, Mercury and Gemini both rule your nervous system. So if you do find yourself getting a little jittery, like you've had 4 cups of coffee or something, but you really haven't had any cups of coffee, take a little break. And I mean a silence break, a quiet break, not a scroll on your phone or anything like that. Just take a little quiet time. And then, let's see. I thought my camera had stopped for a second there. Anyway, and some negative qualities to Gemini. They can kind of lose interest in things, so they can kind of they have a short attention span. So sometimes they're can be called quitters. They can be a jack of all trades, but the master of none. And especially Mercury and Gemini, talk, 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 talk. I'm sure everybody out there has known a person or had a friend that's like, I think you've told me this story 3 times. So just remember that's also a possibility there too. Okay, so let's see. And then so moving on, so on the 25th is when Mercury goes into Gemini, but it's also the same day when Mercury sextiles Saturn, okay? Because remember, Saturn is like at 2 seconds into Aries. It just went in the day before, and here comes Mercury making this beautiful sextile. And then, of course, we've got Neptune here, who's a real slow mover, but has been in Aries for a little bit longer than Saturn here. But so just 5 hours before the new moon, Mercury is also going to sextile Neptune. So what we got going on here is we've got working hard, right? Thinking about the 3D world, manifesting, checking our reality, what's going on. And then we've got Neptune here, who wants to soften things, that wants to dissolve things, that wants to release things. So always keep thinking about, this is a sextile from Mercury to these two planets. So a sextile is going to bring us opportunities. So let us build and think, and what is it that we really want in this 3D world? Write it down, put a timeline to it, all that kind of good stuff, and then let it go. Burn it, tear it up, mail it off, mail it to yourself. Have you ever done that? Mail yourself a letter? That's kind of fun sometimes. Anyway, so just remember, we're going to have this intellectual communication opportunity to get this manifestation started, and then we'll be able to just let it go. That's kind of cool. And then to really increase this focus of energy, the moon is going to sextile the Neptune just like a half hour before the new moon. So you can see hopefully you can start to see how we've got such a conglomeration of energy here. And remember, the new moon is at 6 degrees. Pluto's at 4 degrees. And all these guys are like 1 or under degree, right? So we're getting a lot at that very beginning of each one of those signs. And then, so then we're going to have the new moon at 8:02 p.m. on the night of May 26th. And then just 2 hours later, and that's Pacific time, Mercury is going to trine Pluto. Okay? So this is another one where we're going to have very, very powerful language. Now the Sun trine Pluto just on May 24th. So again, there may be some information coming together with those two. Very powerful language. And it might even be some kind of scary stuff with Pluto involved. But don't be afraid, to be forewarned is to be forearmed, right? We need things to come out in the open. So this could be a very memorable day, the 20, into the 27th. Well, this whole time, the 24th to the 27th, we're going to go, hopefully, a lot more information. Then finally, on May 29th is when the Sun and Mercury are going to actually conjunct. And this is called a superior conjunction because Mercury is not retrograde. It's called an inferior conjunction when Mercury is retrograde. And also, say this is the Sun, and this is, we'll call this Mercury, and we'll call this the Earth, okay? So a superior conjunction is when the Sun blocks out Mercury and we can't see it. And an inferior is when Mercury is between us and the Sun and we can see it against the Sun. So that's just some more information for those of you who are backyard astronomers. Okay. Now, partly what I want to just discuss here, even though I've got this big buildup of planets here, Uranus is still in Taurus as we speak right now, but it's going to be going into Gemini July 7th. So it's coming up, okay? But the big thing I really want to point out to you guys is that, yeah, we've got all this trine going on and all this sextile going on. And when Uranus, even when all these personal planets move out of the way, I guess I'll go ahead and take them off for now. You can see that there's going to be this, air, fire, air, sextile, and trine. And this is going to be going on. Saturn's going to be sextiling Pluto all of next year. Neptune will be sextiling Pluto for the next 3 years. Okay, so we've got it. This is all very helpful, good energy. I mean, if there's some reason why we fall into some horrible situation worldwide or something like that, I find that hard to believe with these beautiful transits, but we'll see. And Mars is long gone. I shouldn't, Mars will be gone. Those personal planets, though, will be getting up into Leo here pretty soon too. And I wanted to let you know this is called Saturn and Neptune are at the midpoint between Pluto and Uranus, and that's also a very powerful point to be activated. So be aware that all this stuff is increasing our energy more and more all the time here. Now, talking about Saturn and Neptune coming together here, and let's just talk about that. Here we've got work, 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 work. Here we've got compassion, spirituality. This is sort of, it's actually kind of linking sort of the scientific 3D earthy world to the more spiritual, open-minded world. I'm really curious to see how it goes. Now this conjunction happens pretty much like clockwork, once every 36, 37 years. But as I've said before, I have not seen anybody who's been able to figure out when this 0 degrees Aries conjunction has ever happened before. We could really be at the beginning of a whole new world here on Earth. I'm almost, are the ETs gonna come out or something like that? I don't know. Some other things that are interesting about Saturn and Neptune. Abraham Lincoln, FDR, and JFK all had this conjunction in their charts. So what is this? Making something spiritual, open-minded, forward-thinking a reality. Okay? And all three of those did that, had that kind of dream for America to be better than it was. And all three of them died in office, interestingly enough. Sad to say. Okay. Oh, and I should also mention the exact conjunction on this doesn't happen until February 20th, 2026. Okay, that's when and it'll be at 0 degrees Aries, 44 minutes. So let me show you, I showed you this last time, but let me just go over this again a little bit, because it's always good to see these things. So there's my clock. All right, we'll just keep moving though. How long have I been on? Okay. So as you can see, here's when, here's that May 24th. And I apologize, I had May 26th written here. The last time I showed you this, I fixed it though. So get rid of that one if you want to take a screenshot. This one's new and improved. But the dates I really want you to kind of look at is, look at this, July 4th, July 13th. That's when these planets are going to be stopping and going retrograde, stationing retrograde at just, what, 15 minutes apart? Okay, so this is like, they might as well be conjunct, Other things to watch out for, okay, this September 2nd to this September 6th, okay? This is when both of these planets are going to go back into Pisces. So really look at this time, I would say from the 1st of July till, say, definitely the first couple of weeks of September. Think of that time as your dress rehearsal for when these planets go into Aries for good. We're going to get a chance to experiment with things. Do I want to do it this way? Do I want to do it that way? Do I like these people? Do I like that people? So really, from the beginning of July to the beginning of September, so that's July, August, it's only 2 months, but give yourself a chance to really experiment. What is Saturn in Aries going to be like, and Neptune in Aries? Then we'll go back into Pisces and rework some stuff that we're going over right now. But then at the beginning of 2026, these planets will go into Aries. 2.5 years for Saturn, 14 years for Neptune. So again, we'll be talking about this and looking at that hopefully many times to come in the future. Oh, and I just see this very quickly. This is all for entertainment only. Okay. All right, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, just to get you ready for that. Oh, and I also wanted to mention Russia has a very unique relationship with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. In 1917 is when there was a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and that was when the Russian Revolution was, and also the Spanish flu, just to let you know. Then in 1952, Stalin died. That was the next time. Okay, and then in 1953, so I'm sure they were going back and forth between each other, Putin was born. Ooh. And in 1989, the Berlin Wall came down, so that was the end of the Soviet Union. So you can see these are huge changes. I mean, everything from getting rid of the czars to the Stalin to the Berlin Wall. And now in 2025-26, are we going to see a whole new redefinition of Russia? I know they had a chance back there when the wall came down, and Gorbachev gave it over to Yeltsin, and then Putin came right in there and got his oligarchs going. So anyway, more on Russia, huh? All right, so what we see here is Neptune wanting to dissolve structures, and in Aries wants to do it fast. So I think whatever does happen in Russia, it might be like a blink of an eye for us looking at it from overseas. Now, Neptune in general rules things like drugs, oil, spirituality, dreams, anything that's invisible, fantasies to the points of lying and deception, secret enemies, that kind of thing. Libra's open enemies. I love that as your marriage partner. But anyway, and Neptune also rules things like your blood and your immune system. Saturn is that 3D world, discipline, time, authority, integrity, building walls. Also rules our teeth, our bones, and our skin. That's like the walls of our body. Saturn. So you can see these are two very difficult, different kinds of energies, and try to pull them together is really, it's pretty high, pretty difficult astrology. One of the things that came to my mind was all this stuff about the trade routes and the supply chains. I mean, that's a structure, a schedule that's been interrupted over the oceans and seas. Neptune rules all that. So anyway, those are some of the things that came to mind for me. Okay. And then also when we think about Neptune and Aries, I really want you to think about being your own spiritual warrior, okay? And with this sextile to Pluto, you're actually going to get help from the underworld about this. So, you know, if you find yourself wanting to get out there and you know, don't do anything sneaky or underhanded, not underworld like that. I mean underworld as in your subconscious, as into that parts of you that you have difficulty communicating with, that maybe you might start getting more information from your own deep unconscious. Now, something else that with Neptune going into Aries that I'm hoping will be over with, because Neptune ruled Pisces, so Neptune was very, very strong in Pisces. I'm hoping this will end some of this victimhood, much less the lies and the disinformation and stuff. But I'm hoping that too will subside. I mean, Neptune is the planet of the martyr, but maybe we won't be quite such a martyr getting out of Pisces. And, you know, Neptune is also rules that time. You know how when you get lost in time and you're working on a project and you look up and you go, oh my God, 2 hours have gone by. Or my favorite, when you're working on a project and you look up and you go, oh my God, only 10 minutes went by? So just remember, that's the kind of thing that's going on with Neptune. And you want to get into the groove there so that you work on something and only 10 minutes go by. And then Saturn, again, is ruling our 3D. Saturn is time and space. So it's kind of interesting that the planet where you get lost in time and space is hooking up with time and space. So that's what I'm seeing is this is an excellent time for us to evolve, to bring our physical experiences, our 3D experiences, into the metaphysical, the spiritual world, our expanded consciousness. Is there some way we can take these and actually help let them build on each other and get better and better and better and bigger and bigger? So anyway, okay. So I think that's enough for today. I've gone on plenty long enough, and I just hope I'll see you next time. And bye for now. Just remember, from there to here, from here to there, funny things are everywhere. Bye.